Yesterday, we are discussing about the string formatting. In the string formatting, I mentioned that there were like three types of string formatting. One is the old style, the other one is the new style, and the last one is the F strings. I told the concept of a old style formatting, which you see generally in other languages like C++, Java, etc., where you have a percentile formatter. You give a placeholder, and for that placeholder, you pass the value. So whether it is a integer if you want to pass, percentile D. If a string you want to pass, percentile S. Like that, based upon the data type that you want to pass, you need to have a placeholder and you need to pass the value. But there is one problem in this point where you need to know exactly what data type you're passing. Else there's gonna be a problem. To avoid that, one quick hack I told is that you can go with a percentile S. Means no matter what data type you place, a percentile S can handle because it can convert to a string, right? The same thing goes with the REPR also, but at this moment you don't know the difference between these two. Down the line you will know more. Think like this is another kind of string representation. But at the same time, there is one more problem with this approach is that you should know what exactly you're passing. So if not strings you can pass, but if you are passing like more than one value, in that case you should ensure so you are giving the exact values. If you give percentile yes, one problem is solved, where whatever the data type is there, it can handle it. But if you give asymmetry, say in this case there are three percentile placeholders, but you give only two values, but you don't know what to do with the third one. So that is another problem. To avoid these two problems, new style formatting came with a solution. New style formatting can be done in two ways. A string dot format, which is an attribute, or like a format is a built-in function. Most of the time, people don't use this format built-in function. Even if you do, also same thing happens. But mostly people rely on this kind of dot format. How it exactly works? So instead of a placeholder with a percentiles or so and so, now type is no more constrained. You specify a placeholder, that's it. So anyhow, everything to be part of a string only, right? It will automatically convert to string. So that has the inherent property now. So if you give two values, you give two placeholders. If you give two placeholders, any data type, it can handle it. At the outset, you can also specify the position also, like zeroth position, first position, or like zero first position, zeroth position, or like both also you want to place a zeroth position. So we can handle like this. You can specify like different things. Apart from this, you have one more advantage is not only you are specifying. So whenever you're placing this placeholder, there is something called as colon. In every placeholder, after colon, if you give anything, that is something related to the format. Before colon, you give the number, means the which position value you want. What are the numbers we give? Those are all before colon things. After colon, if you give like a comma, it will do a comma for every three words characters. So like this formatting, it will happen. And also if you want, so F strings, Z fill, means if I say after colon, means it is something related to the formatting. If I say colon equal to 10, means hey, reserve 10 digit space. So did you see? So a white space will come in the starting, means 10 digits were reserved. As your word is having less digits, you can see it. If your word is having bigger thing, then you won't see, right? Minimum you are reserving these many characters. Generally, when you do a bills or anything you print, it will be useful. And similarly, if you take the example of alignments, so if I do a column, so arrow in the left side, so left alignment, arrow in the right side, right alignment, and the arrow in the top means there is a center alignment. There is no down, so don't worry about it. So similarly, when you are aligning also, if you prepend these alignments or anything with any character, that would be the fill value. The same thing worked here also. Before these alignments are reserving, if you place any prepending anything, that character will be the fill value. So that character will be the fill value like that. So this is how you do. Even hexadecimal or anything you conversions you can do with this. So this is all good about these F strings. Okay, till now we understood about how these things work. Yeah, fine. I think something happened. Yeah, fine. Till now we understood about these F strings, F string assignments, and the whole string formatting and the new strings, how we can work with all of them. So the next point I want to stress is the F strings. So there is an old style and new style, but now they want to introduce a new formatting. For that, they created something called as F string. So F string means like formatting string only. So it's kind of inspired from Rust. If you don't know Rust, that is another language. They came up with something new. So they want to inculcate the same things here. That's where they came. To initially understand the difference between these three formats, I can show you in one shot. So old style, new style, and a string. In old style, you write a string, percentile, and u. In a new style, you give a placeholder and you give a dot format of what are the values. In an F string, you write everything within it, write a for F, that's it. Means how it actually works there. So simple. So till now, let's say if I have like this, what will happen? So if I just have like this, it will print that hello world. But you know how the new style works? I will compare with new style as it is nearer to it. For this, if I do a dot format and if I place something like say world, now I got like the second one. Okay, sorry. So if I do like like this, what will happen? I got the name, right? So in the same fashion, in the new style, you can also mention the zero. Means indirectly, if you don't specify, also same thing happens. So in both the cases, it happens. At the same time, in new style, there is one more option where you specify a name is equal to. For anything instead of a thing, if I give like a name, like this also I can specify in new style. So this concept they matured in the F string in a better way. What they told is like, you define this variable called as name outside. Because if you define like that, if you access outside, it can't be accessed. So if you define anything like a label, that label is accessed within it only. Outside it is no more as a variable. But if you create something like a variable outside, then you can use indirectly. Means what they say, hey, you take the same concept, you give it, so colon, so and so, okay. So what they are doing, two lines I'm doing. So before and after. Before the string, I'm writing an F. Observe the difference. This concept in such a way that you don't need to, give anything. You define a variable outside, just you reuse it. So, but this variable should be defined first for using. Okay, if you say like hello name one, it will not work because name one is not a variable which is defined outside. Similarly, if you define any variable, you can use it. You see, I defined a number, I can just use it immediately. But I write an F and within the braces. So not just these things. So if you have anything like that, so I can do some kind of operations too. Till now, if you have anything, you need to do your own operations. Say like if I say old style formatting, so if I say hello, say like name, if I do like a format, name dot upper, I need to do right. If I want the same value in uppercase, okay, sorry, name is equal to say world dot upper. Alright. Yes. So this much struggle I need to do to get something. Whereas as the name variable is already created, so in a new style formatting, I need not do like that. So I can do very simply. So print of f of within the f hello. If you define a variable outside, just you can define, or you can say like here itself within it itself we can write upper. Did you see? So whatever you have, you can do immediately there itself. Means it's not just accessing, we can do some operations also, like dot upper, dot title. And if you have a number, I can convert to do. Means what are the operations you can do locally within the string formatting. That's the main advantage. Say like, let me give you one more example. If I have a number called as value is equal to something, I can do a float of that value plus 3 and I am printing. So it will do this entire expression and give the result to us like this. And not just these things, as whatever we have done in the new style formatting, same things we can do here also. So it is expecting the variable directly, as we know. After the variable, we can give a column. The same rules. If you give a column, after column, whatever is there, that is all related to the formatting, means like the style. If I do after column nothing, so both first two are the same. But subsequently, if you see comma, if I give, everything has a comma. Underscore, if I give, after every three characters are underscore. So like that, you got the things. And not only this, so we can, also do the alignments. As you know, the alignment based upon the direction I'm telling, right? If it is left side, left alignment. If it is pointing towards the right direction, it is right alignment. If it is pointing to the top, it is like center alignment. So when it is pointing to any direction, you can give a fill value also, right? The same rules, whatever you see there. Fill value gave. In the first three things, you didn't give a fill value. Means nothing before this, right? After colon. Immediately after colon, if you have any character, that is a fill value. So that is coming, right, in both the directions. So like that, not only this, you can convert to, different formats like the binary, hexadecimal. As the number is already decimal, if you ask a decimal, it makes no difference. But generally, if you convert to any others also, you can see. I told like we can use bin built-in function for converting to binary. If you use bin built-in function, you get a 0b in the starting. If not, so if direct formatting, it will convert to the binary form and you give it. So like this, with f strings, literally we can do many things. Even I told the concept of, f strings. So with percentile f and percentile g, hope you remember in the last class I told, both percentile f and percentile g were representing for a floating point value. But percentile f, if whenever you use, after decimal, it will use 6 digits. No matter value is less or more, it will give 6 only. If it is less, it will append zeros. If there are zeros at the end, it makes no difference, right? If there are more also, it will try to give only 6 digits. Whereas percentile G will try to round off to the nearest value. The same thing rules here also follows. So what it is saying that, hey, there is a module called as math, which you need for working on it, which you didn't import. I imported it, now it works. So instead of I taking a big number, I relied on the built-in value called as pi value for doing these things. And similarly, what you have learned in the old and new styles, the same things here. If you just do a number, floating point value, you get the value. But if you give like a 9 or 9.3, what you're trying to say? If I say percentile 9f means, hey, totally there should be 9 digits reserved to it. So you give like me. And if you are saying like, you see, you can understand here more clearly. There is some space before it, right? You can observe that. Some space before it. Means 9 digits were reserved for it, whether it uses or not. Whereas 9.3 means deserve 9 digits, but post decimal there should be 3 digits only. So that's what you mentioned. So that's how it works. Next, so at the same time, we can do like much better things. Yes. Sometimes people ask, sir, what if I want a brace also within my f strings? Observe this very carefully. In the first case, what you have within the braces, you have 4 into 10. It's simple, you get like 40. In the second case, you observe carefully, you have two f strings, so two braces, right? So when you have two braces, what are the content within it will come as it is. So it's like escaping the existing content within it. So this kind of format will kind of confusion comes whenever you're going for like real world examples, like let's say web applications. Say Jinja syntax is there, something called as Jinja 2. When you go to real world web application development, there is something called a Jinja. That syntax will be, confused with it. Once you go there, you'll understand. When you create a Django application, there is something called as Django DTL. So DTL means Django template language. There also you will face this kind of things. So in those cases, you need this kind of escapings. So they also use these double braces. So in those cases, you will have an issue. So that's what I'm trying to say. And if you have three braces, so then like whatever is executed within it will execute. And also you get one more brace. Or you can try that, 4 and 5 braces also and see how things gonna work. So that is fine. At the same time, there is one more thing called as escaping the, this one. Hope you remember this concept of /n, /t. These are called as escape sequences I told. If I print this output, what will happen? After printing, did you see the cursor has gone to the new line? In fact, if I print something afterwards, then you will understand. Naked eye, we cannot understand something, right? Did you see an empty line is between? That is because there is a /n. This /n didn't come in the output because it is an escape sequence. Generally, till now we know, right? If you want any escape sequence to be escaped, so what you do? If you have just like a /n, if you want to escape them, means you want to print them, you write a R before it. If you write a R before it, it will treat it as like a raw character, right? What if you want F string also and this kind, both of them together? Then in that case, you write like FR. Observe carefully, I wrote like FR. FR means like I am getting both in one shot. Means the computation also happens, /n also comes. So what if I give like, RF? Can I give like RF? Means first R, then F. So you give, but like don't repeat any character, that's it. Whether you give like this or like that, doesn't matter, it will work to you. So like this, so different kinds of things we're gonna do. So just I am trying to help you understand. Last but not the least, so I want to tell about the string formatting. Generally, in terms of ASCII and Unicodes, that's the last thing. We have something called as str, which is an ordinary string, right? In string, there are two types of things. One is called as ASCII, called as American Standard Code for Information Interchange. Generally, this is what are the characters you see on a typical English keyboard. These are all ASCII characters we call. Totally 7 bits are there, means 0 to 128. So if you see all the characters, you can recognize some of them. Some of them, if they print also, we cannot understand. But there is one more thing called as non-English characters, called as Unicode, UTF. UTF means Unicode. So what is this means? So we need to represent non-English characters also, right? Like French characters, Telugu, Tamil, so whatnot. Every language you need to represent. So if you give a number, how it can treat? So why I came to that context, I'm telling. If you see in this example, I have like Python, colon, I wrote something in a Greek and Latin, some language. Now, if you have a string like this, and if I just print, I want to print in different ways. If I print like, percentile S, percentile F, or like that, different things I'm showing. If I just do a exclamation yes, it will convert to a string and it will display as it is. But if I do like a REPR, hope you know the thing, REPR and STR will be the same, but REPR for strings it will add an extra quotes. That's what you understood till now. But there is the last thing called as ASCII. If you take the ASCII, then it will convert everything to the ASCII characters. What is this ASCII? Now I will tell you again. So till now I told, right, ASCII means what? So American Standard for Information Interchange, which they have like 128 characters only. So initially when they developed the computer systems, they didn't think of like other languages. So that's how they started evolution. Then how do they represent the other languages means? For everything they gave a code. That is called as a Unicode. See here, alpha is there, gamma is there. These are some characters. For every character, there is a specific Unicode is there. That Unicode you are getting. Similarly, if I say the name is there, I got the name. So there is like one more built-in function called as ASCII. Recently they introduced, I think a couple of versions back before. That also will do the same thing. Earlier we don't have this built-in function. People used to rely mostly on it, but now slowly people are going through it. So like this, there are different kinds of string formattings which you can do. And recently in Python 3.8, now the latest version of Python is 3.11 and 12 is also coming. But in 3.8, they introduced something called as f-string assignments. Means one step ahead to these f-strings. What they told is that, okay, till now you have a variable, you define it, you use it, right? Say you have a variable. So if you had defined a variable, this is how you print it, right? I defined something, language equal to Python, and I'm printing. In generally, what you do, instead of just printing the value, you write language equal to, and you write a print, right? This is how generally we do on a daily basis. Because in output, you want to see whose output is what. If say you are working on 2 variables or 3 variables, if you are just getting 10, you don't know from which variable this 10 is coming. To understand that, you write like name is equal to so and so. Means mostly you give the same variable both ways, right? Same thing can also be done in other ways, right? Using an old style formatting. So using old style formatting, if you do also, you get the same thing. Or using the new style formatting also, you can do. Like this also you can get dot format. Or using the f strings also, you can do the same thing. Because within the variable, within the floor braces, we need to give the exact variable. And this variable should be defined outside. Yes, like this also we can do. Now the same concept, they matured it slightly differently. What they told is that they found the common pattern. Mostly people are defining the same variable here and here, right? Both the times. When you're defining both the times, why do you want to define? So rather, you do like this. This is called as f-string assignment. You know, so as you are using the same variable, instead of repeating twice, you do it like this. I repeat again with one more example. You have a variable called as number is equal to 123. So this is how you do f strings. As both sides we are using the same thing, so you can do like this. But you cannot tell a different variable. You have variable called as number. I cannot say num is equal to. In an ordinary way, I can do it, right? In an ordinary way, so what I can do? So number is equal to. So like this, I can do number in an ordinary f string. But in an f string assignment, so you should do the same variable. If you write in any other way, it will throw in error. So this is a limitation, but this is the advantage. So what is the advantage of going for this, sir? Means whenever you are going for complex executions, let's say you see here in this example, I need not repeat again multiple times. So it will say like what is the number? Number into 3 is what? Number is equal to so and so. So just imagine if I need to do in a old style, I need to repeat it those many number of times, right? So now this is the advantage I got. Hope it's clear. Any doubt till now? Yes? Fine. So in the last leg, so we can stop here. But like if you want to know more about these F strings and how these F strings assignments gonna work, so you can just have a look at it. This is called as a Unicode website where you can see Unicode for each of the characters. No matter which language you want, you can just explore to see. So the languages, and not only languages, punctuations and others are also there. So with this, I want to stop. So after this F-string formatting, to consolidate all of the learnings till now, if I can take one more example, one real world example of the string formatting .ipynb, if I can take. So there we can see all of the learnings together. If I create a Jupyter notebook, I take the kernel. And I have taken different use cases. So initially when we started, say case one, so with like old style formatting. In old style formatting, you define a string like this. So I have defined like a multi-line string, and within that string, I am defining all the placeholders and I'm giving it. In this example, if you can notice, so we have something like this, 3 percentile placeholders. The first one is a string. I'm passing Hitesh string. Second one is a floating point value. I passed a floating point value. Third one is a percentile. So I have taken one real world example. Hope whenever you're doing some shopping, you get this kind of message. See, with this static template content, I created this kind of content, right? So on a daily basis, you will get some kind of emails or like alerts or SMSs. How they generated based on this only. And if I can take the, modify this use case, if I can go for like case two, a slight difference to this variant is this time I'm taking the same things, but slightly modifying it. So in the wholesale formatting only, so with formatting, so means like I am adding like 5.2. So like that means I'm modifying instead of just using, I'm modifying it better. So it threw an error. What's it saying? Hey, for percentile D, I am format a real number is required, not string. So if you see the first one is this one, second one is okay, but for the third one, you have given a string, but that is not required, right? So here, if I did correctly, now it gonna work. If I execute it, you see, that is how we solve real world problems and we address it. And going for the third case, in case three, I take the same example, but this time I want to use new style formatting. In new style formatting, I take the same example, but slightly modify the previous one. How I take? Say, let me take the same example. So if I want to use it, how I go in it? I take print and like this. To make the best use of time, I'm just telling directly that wherever we have percentiles, instead of the percentiles, I placed a, so this one. And again, pass the values like this only. So this is new style formatting. In new style formatting, apart from this, we also can do like one more thing. So in case 4, so in new style formatting, I can give some kind of numbering also with indexing of the positions. Say I have the positions. The first one is the 0th position and the second one is the first position. Because indexing starts with 0, we should give like a 0, 1 and 2, 2. So due to that, what happens is like we can again reuse the things. So thank you again, you should give the same name you can do. How the indexing works, as I told you. So indexing starts with 0. So 0, so 1, 2 and 3. If I execute, I get the same thing. So the more you are going inside, you are getting a better use cases. So, and also not only this, sometimes if you want to, better reuse it, or if you don't want to use a particular things also, you're gonna work. So, so in this particular case, I use the 0 again. If I don't want to reuse 0, so if I say like, 3 again, then I should define, see here, the 3 was placed like Hitesh again. So I can reuse the Hitesh again, or so I can go for like case 5, where I can reuse the existing things also. Means if I don't define this last value and I can reuse the things. So I don't give this one and I can make use of the 0th value as it is. So this is also a possibility, both the cases. And apart from this, in these schemes, generally what happens when you have like very big string? So now there are 3 values. What if there are 10 or 15 or 20? You don't know like every time the positions. Suddenly, if you have changed one of them, you need to check in entire place where that particular number is. And every time we need to refer that number and you need to see. In real world, we will not, write like for every line 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So then what is the best way? So instead of going for a indexing, the best way is by going for a labeling. There is something called as the labeling. What do you mean by labeling means? Hey, you take the things as it is. So wherever you have the values, you mention with a label. You give some name. So the same name you use it. Wherever zeroth position is used, so there we give the name. So instead of these ones, I give the positions like this. And similarly, the second one gonna be the amount. So I mention the second value to be the amount. So here also I need to mention. But you don't mix both of things. If you're mentioning with labels, use only labels. If you mention with so and so, use others. But don't use a combination of both. If I use right now, so then it's gonna work. You see, it's working. If I execute right now, it will work. So no matter how I give, it's fine. And one more thing, as this way came, they made like one more advantage. Down the line, you will learn about a new thing called as dictionary. So using dictionaries also, we can do it. So what they did is like labeling with dict. So what they told is like, whenever you are reading a CSV file or Excel file, you get some list of values. Say, just imagine that for all the customers, you need to send a message saying that, hey, today there is a offer and people can make use of it. Then he will read a CSV file which containing all the records. For each of the record you want to do. So for that, I can say customer record is equal to, it's a dictionary. This is called as a dictionary. So you will learn it afterwards. So where everything will be like key value separated. This is one kind of data structure. So where everything will be like key values separated. Everything will be like this. No equal to, but like key value, like this it will happen. This is one kind of record, dictionary. So this dictionary, so we will take, and instead of our things, we need to pass it. So instead of these values, I say like star star so and so. Means indirectly whatever we are doing, the same thing will happen. This is called as dict unpacking. So it will indirectly give the same things whatever we are doing. So the same values, whatever it has, it will give. Like this also we can do. So in this way, when you are working in real time, we can do for a lot. As this kind of concept came, so we should not give directly. If I give a dictionary directly, it will throw an error. But you see, before the dictionary, I added 2 stars. This concept is called as dictionary unpacking. So as this pattern is there in Python, what happens every time they're seeing one repetitive pattern, for that they are addressing the solution for the same problem. So there is something called as with dictionary with format map. They created one more thing called as format map. So what they told is like, hey, anyhow you are trying to give a dictionary. So whenever you are doing a dictionary, instead of doing a format, you use something called as format map, and you need not write these 2 stars. So then it will automatically do in the backend. So the same thing, they added like one more built-in function like this attribute. So lastly, so for the things to be much better, what we know, we have seen the case of a dictionary, sorry, F string assignments. So means in the F strings, if I go for the concept of F strings, then the entire thing will change. In F strings, what we expect, it's not a dictionary, but you expect every variable to be defined outside. So, and we use it. For in F strings, we define the variables, whatever you have. Say Hitesh is there, so it's a string you have. So this is a number, which is another variable. Then like you have card numbers, which is another thing. So like this, you define 3 variables. Now we need to make use of 3 variables. Now before this, I write like a F. Whether you write capital F or small f, it doesn't matter. But if you write, you need not add this. So then it will automatically check what are the variables we defined within the flower braces were defined outside or not. If they were defined, so you get the answer as it is. This is called as f-string assignments. So f-string, sorry. In these f-strings, we can also do something more smartly, right? Where we can also optimize by adding the things as we needed. But in this case, f-string assignments are not needed. So, but like if you want to do some kind of f-string with operations, so like, for the name, so initially when referring, you want to do upper, or like in the last, when you're referring, you want to say dot title. Because it is a string, we can do these operations. For the amount, so they don't want to mention. So as it is. So wherever operations you want, you can do. So these are the different things. And also I'm telling, just because we have a feature, we should not use everywhere. In this particular case, there is no point of going for f-string assignments. But still, if you feel like, f-string assignments you want to use, so you can give it a try. So f-string assignments. So where here what you do, here wherever you are using, you need to place a equal to. Except equal to, you cannot place any other symbol. If you place a equal to, so wherever you want to. So if I say like, it makes no sense to have it. So here it makes some sense. Received amount. So you see now, you got like, so name dot upper is equal to, so name dot title is equal to. So it makes no sense, right? So to have that. That's the reason I'm saying. Only when the case is needed, we need to use something. Until unless, we should not use it. Apart from this, if I can just walk through, the next thing is on to the Unicode characters. So EF, if I have like a Unicode characters, IPYNB, instead of a Python script, IPython notebook. So once I create, I should select the kernel. Earlier, the kernel used to be auto-selected, but in the recent versions, so they are giving an option. In fact, it's an advantage. Down the line, you'll learn something about virtual environments. There you'll learn a lot. We already had enough discussion about what is these Unicodes, why we need. But still, to get some idea, say Unicode characters. If I can tell that, I told you, if you want details more, you have this site where you can see all the things. So if I go here, you can see the list of all the attributes, different characters. So every language you have, you can just click on, you can get it. But coming here, if I go see, typically I told values will be from 0 to 128 for the very basic things. So here you will learn about two built-in functions called as str and repr. These were the two built-in functions that you're gonna learn. So what are these built-in functions? How they can help us? If I can start with, you see, I'm opening a code shell. If you want, hope you remember, we can make use of f-string assignments. See, instead of I repeating ord of a is equal to again, I'm doing like this. And also observe carefully, I am having inside a string. To represent a string, I need to use single or double quotes. So inside I use single quotes. That's a outside I'm double quotes. Observe carefully. So that's a point. And if I execute C here, ORD of ABC. So ABC means like you got the values like this. Or if you want, like I can add a couple of things more. Say like you make it like, say Y, 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 Z, sorry. If I execute, you can notice it is like something 89 and this is something like 90. So this is all about the capital letters. If I go one step ahead and if I try the same thing for a small letters, for the same thing there also it happens. Letters we can better recognize. That's it. But there are other characters also. If I say like, what is that? Y and Z. You see, for Y it is 121 and for Z it is 122. So small alphabets are starting from 165 till 90, capitals from this 97 till 122. So Apart from these alphabets, there are numbers also. For numbers also, they are represented. See, how means like you are like this. If I give numbers also, numbers has also some symbol. No, first of all, why these symbols and all these things are needed? This concept is called as encoding. It is not encryption, it is encoding. Encoding is needed for like both storage and transmission. Means whenever you are touching any key on a keyboard, how your CPU is knowing that you touched a particular key? Because there is a particular number associated in the background. Sir, why can't they say 1 for 1 and 2 for 2? Means you see on your keyboard there are many things. It will recognize everything uniquely. To recognize like that, there is a format. For that, there are numbers. So that's the reason we have all these things. If you use this ORD will give you the number associated for each of the character. So not only this, if you go for any of the characters, so like, dollars or anything, if you give for that particular thing, you get it. But at the same time, there is one more character built-in function called as CHR. If you want to get the reverse of it, means you give a number, you want to get the character which has that number. We have this one. So 30, when you did a ORD of a dollar, you got 36. Similarly, CHR of this number, you got dollar. Like that for anything, can I do, sir? Yes. But you should give for like only a valid characters. So ORD also, you cannot go beyond what you need. You can go one character at a time. You cannot go for more. And at the same time, CHR also has a limit. I told ASCII values are from 0 to 127. If you ask, you get the values. Sir, what is this character, sir? I never seen. It is a hexadecimal representation. And you see on your keyboard, every key is not for displaying. If you see an example like a insert key is there, delete key is there, print screen is there. So can you show them? You cannot print them, right? You cannot understand. Means certain keys are not for humans to visualize. Their actions will be there. But you are starting with a /x, means hexadecimal representation you are seeing. But sir, here in these numbers also, can I go beyond these numbers? Say, sir, if I go for like 129, will I get an output? Yes, of course. Initially, when the computers were like, computation world started, they started with English. Slowly in the evolution, they added other characters also. So from 127 onwards, all the characters are above that limit. If you want to know, there are like characters. So where I can just give a list. In Python, if you want to generate some numbers, we have something called as a range, which I will tell afterwards. If I do like for I in range of say 10, say if I say print of I, because it will print the numbers. Okay. Why I'm telling, I will tell shortly. I want to check the ASCII number of everything. ORD means you should give a character, it will give the number. But CHR is good. If you give a number, it will give the position. Of course, you should not give negative or zero. It makes no sense. But you should give positive. See, here in this case, I pass CHR of this I. So generally when I did a 10, range of 10, I get the values from 0 to 9. Along with the value, I want the CHR of the type. Means, along with the number, I want its character also. You see, it is giving some values, but it is not showable. I mean, not everything is like risible, I told, right? You got like this. But so if I go typically for the entire range, so instead of like 10, if I go for like 0 to 128, you can see a good list of things. In Jupyter Notebook, when you have a big list, it will show in a editor. If you go inside, you can see, you can understand. So only few you can understand. But see, for every character, there is a number associated. Till 127, you got it. Okay, this is good. Sir, what if I want to go beyond? So you can go for any range. Say I'm going for some random range from 3000 to 3500. If I execute right now, I get the entire list again. So which again, if I go to the editor, you can see. You can relate that there were like Telugu, Tamil, so Kannada, so kind of languages are there in this range. So for every language, there's a limit. So if you go to that range, you can see this is Telugu. Like I think it's Kannada or like some other languages. Like that, how much range I can have, sir? How many such characters are there? Entire every language in the human beings are using, it should accommodate. So the range should be very big enough. If you want to know that range, there is something called a sys module. So sys module we don't use for everything, but in sys module there is one attribute called as sys.max unicode. With this we can understand. It says that this is the maximum value. I think like it's in millions, I guess. So this is the maximum number that you can use. So if I ask CHR of this number, I get some value. We don't know where it will be used, but there is a Unicode. But if I go beyond this, if I say +1, means like 2 will come, right? If I ask, it will throw in error. Means you cannot go to the values beyond it. Hope you understood now. So this is all about the Unicode characters. But so the Unicode characters, so we can process like this. And in terms of representation also, every Unicode, they have some numbering. These Unicodes, whatever you are seeing is the decimal form, 3019, 30 so and so, so and so. But when the numbers are becoming big enough, they don't represent in the decimal form. They represent in the hexadecimal form and others. So if anytime when you're working on Unicode, you may face Unicode like this. In the Unicode decimal form, this is a hexadecimal format. You see, 20B9. So in the hexadecimal format, they are represented. So the same number we can represent in different formats differently, right? So they are doing like this. So like you have some number real time. So this is noil. So if you want to represent like noil, so this is called a punctuation marks, right? So what I call it, I don't remember exactly. So for that we have this character instead of a small e like this. Similarly, a numbers can be represented in hexadecimal representation also. So these are like various representations for every character we have. And similarly, each character of these are represented for something. So this is the difference between ORD, CHR, and this is how the things works and all the things as you know till now. Now, based upon what you have made these learnings, so a couple of things further in the Unicode is that if you want to know more about the discussion about these Unicodes, so there is something, a reference like this. If you just go there, they will show a lot of differences. So how to work with Unicodes within Python. What are the different things that it has? See, they also use the same word Python for each other word, like how they are presenting and why encoding is needed. What are the different ways of encoding? It would be like a somewhat higher level of understanding. So let's speak on the same thing shortly. So to understand, so for the Unicodes, so we can use Unicodes for different purposes, and we can represent Unicodes in different ways. I just showed you like /u, but in general, if you use it non-English characters, you can make use of this. If you are sure that you don't work with non-English characters, you can ignore. But like if you use /n, so where I can explicitly say like Greek capital letter delta, like that also I can mention a character. So or like like this also Unicode, like this also you can Unicode. So 13-bit, 64-bit like that. And similarly, if you have like a binary symbol also, I can use for the same characters. If I have like, generally this B is a byte string, which we'll learn shortly afterwards. Binary strings we use whenever you are working with anything real world, like everything is like mostly binary strings. The PDFs are binary strings. So images are binary strings. Multimedia, everything is binary string. So whenever you are working the binary string, so we need to convert to the UTF. Then only we can understand, right? So a number can be in both the formats. And if you want to access, you need to convert to our format. So this is what you need to understand. And similarly, whenever like you can create your own character with a combination of these things together. Say like I am taking some example. I am doing a number and CHR of it for that ordinary number and M character. I am doing a combination right now and I'm asking. So in Python 2, there used to be like default encoding is ASCII. That's why Unicode, it should say like, Unicode as a different type. But in Python 3, everything is a string. So that's the reason you can see it's also type string. But some characters we cannot see directly. That's okay. But if you try to do this, I told you Unicodes, if you are like encode and decode, there are two types. Many people will get confused this. See, why we need encode and decode? I told you. Encode is for like storage or passage. So decode is for like understanding for us human beings when ultimately we are consuming. I told you if you say like this, you cannot understand. But if you convert into this format, it's easy, right? So similarly, you have a number like this. So Unicode is there. This Unicode, generally, if I say like dot encode, if I do dot encode, I'm converting to the bytes. Did you see? So by the string itself, before there is a B. If it's an ordinary string, it will print like this. So if you want to convert to a binary form, you use encode. So and if you want to decode, so means like you use decode when you want to convert back to your own format. So binary to ordinary, this is binary to so ordinary, so Unicode, like ordinary strings. So bytes to string, whereas a Unicode are like strings to so bytes like this. And you do Unicode conversion. And in this process of conversion, there are like multiple formats. The first things if I show you is in the encoding, you can do UTF is also fine. UTF means everything will be converted to their hexadecimal formats. And also I can convert to ASCII format, means which are convertible to English characters, they will convert. And the remaining characters will be like that. So you see here in the process, if some of the errors you got, so what should I do? What is the second option means? When you are converting to ASCII, you get an issue. Then what to do? Then ignore them. If you get anything outside that, ignore them. You see, apart from ABC, you have first character, second this one also. But when you do the ignore, you got only ABCD. Means other characters were ignored, right? At the same time, if you say that replace means when you're converting to ASCII, if any new character is coming, replace with this question mark, it will replace. Or XML, so char replace, so like this, means it will get that particular thing like this. So like this, we can do encoding in different stages. Or like one more interesting thing, whenever you have something which you don't need, there is something like backslash replace. Means you got a new character apart from yours, then you don't know what to do. Then you do a backslash replace. Means that character will have prepended with a slash and it will come in the output. Or if you want to say like a name replace, if it has a name, so I told right Greek character, Latin character like that. So if everything has a name, it will replace with that. So like these things will work. If I do the same example for a say bigger thing also, the same thing works. I don't want to confuse you more. So with this, I want to stop on these Unicodes. Then lastly, going to these binaries. So what there are last two things called as binary and byte array. So byte array strings. So what is this byte array string? Why we need it? So in what use cases we use this byte array string? If you can observe carefully, so this byte array string is useful for like the main thing where we work on. Okay, let me